Okay, so 12th standard English. We will going to start with a very new poem, and the name of the poem is Father Returning Home, which is written by Dilip Chitra. If you see, this poem is written by Dilip Chitra, and Dilip Chitra is a poet. He born in 1938 and he died in 2009. Okay, I'm just explaining you directly. He was a celebrated bilingual poet and translator with a remarkable work in Marathi and English. So, Dilip Chitra was a translator in two language, Marathi and English, and his versatile creativity extends to. He was interested in painting, filmmaking, and his contribution. He was working in magazine also. He received the many awards like Sahitya Academy Award, both for poetry as well as his translation work, says Tuka, and which is he translated the poem of Sant Tukaram, which was written in Marathi, and he translated in English. He had started translation works of sons in Marathi at the age of 16. So exile, alienation, self-desecration that are observed to be the major themes of his work. So this poet Dilip Chitre, whenever he is writing poem, so his main theme, his main stories, which is related to death, which is related to alienation, which is related to self disintegration. Let's start with this poem. Okay. First, if you see, this poem is taken from Traveling in a Cage, right? And he draws a portrait of a suburban commuter. This poem is taken from a Traveling in a Cage, and this poem talks about suburb, and it depicts a man, dullness, monotonous, exhausting, and equally pitiable daily routine. So here it describes a forced alienation at home, which is reflected through the stalehood and lack of sharing. Which means, in short, if I say the poem what we are going to read now, we will going to understand about a man, how a man daily routine life makes him makes him or to alienate. Alienate is nothing but how a man started separating himself from his family members, and how a man is started living alone in his family because of his monotonous and daily routine life. Like if you see, each and every one are living alone only, and they are doing their work, and one day they are feeling alienation at home. Let's start. Father returning home. Father returning home. So here the poet is talking about my father travels. My father travels on the late evening train. So here the poet is talking about his father is traveling from a train but late evening. Late evening train means what? After it 8 p.m. we can say, right? He was standing among silent commuters in the yellow light. So your poet father is coming from the late evening train, and he was standing among the other people, and in the yellow light. At that time, at his time, he's talking about inside the train. The light is not LED; it's a yellow light. Suburb sides slides post his unseeing eyes, which means the stations are passing from his eyes. His shirts and pants are soggy, and his black raincoat stained with mud, and his bag stuffed with books. So here the poet is talking about my father is coming from train, late evening train, and he was standing among the public, and he was wearing shirt and pant, and that was soggy, that was sweaty, and he was having side bag, umbrella stained with mud, and there is a one handbag is there which is stuffed with the books. You can see in the picture also, like this man is having a umbrella also and stuffed with the books, right? Now, and is falling apart, his eyes dim by age. So you're dimmed by age. The eyes of his father is, the vision of the eyes is decreasing according to the age. Fade homeward through the humid monsoon night, and fade homeward through the humid monsoon night, and his eyes vision is going to be blur through the humid monsoon night, like his vision is going to be decrease. Now I can see him getting off the train. So here the poet is talking about, now I can see my father. He is getting off the train. Getting off the train means, like whenever we are, like whenever we are getting down. So he's getting down from the stage train. The poet can see him, see his father, and he's saying like the visual, the panoramic. It is like a word dropped from a long sentence. So he's here. The poet is trying to visualize us, like when his father get off from the train, and train is already crowded. So the scenario was look like the word is dropped from a long sentence, like how his father had get down from the train. Because in the train, if you see, it was too much crowdy, and then my father he hurries across the length of grey platform. So my father had hurries to reach at home across the great grey platform, and he crosses the railway line and enters the lane. And my father crosses the railway line. First he get down from the train. He was hurry. He crosses the railway line, and he enters the lane. That lane is reached to his house, and his chappals are sticky with mud. And my father is wearing chappal, and it is sticky with mud, but he hurries onward. But then also my father was hurried continuously without stopping. Home again, I see him drinking weak tea, eating a steel chapati, and reading a book. Now the poet is talking about, I can see my father, that he reached to the home, and my father is reading a newspaper, reading a book, holding a newspaper, and chapati, eating a steel chapati and drinking a weak tea. Weak tea means that kind of tea which is already made earlier. Steel chapati is also the same thing. It is not fresh tea and fresh chapati. So my father is getting it. Now he goes into the toilet to contemplate. Contemplate means think deeply. My father, after doing evening snacks, he goes to the toilet to thinking deeply, and man's estrangement from the man-made world. So from the man-made world, and he was alone, like he was alienate, like he was alone from the man-made world. And when he come out from the toilet, he directly went towards the wash basin, which means sink. The The cold water, the cold water running over his brown hand, and the cold water was also when he was washing his hand, the cold water was running over his brown hand, and a few droplets was also stopped in his grayish hair on his wrist. So when father come out from the toilet, he was washing his hand, and on his hand, on his wrist, there are few droplets of the water had stuck. And his children and his Sulan means a bad tempered children have often refused to share jokes and secrets with him. So his children are not interested to talk with him and not interested to share secrets and jokes with him. He will now go to sleep. He will now go to sleep, listening to the static radio and dreaming of his ancestor and grandchildren. So here the poet is talking about, and he will going. My father is going to be asleep now by listening radio. He will think about his future generation kids and ancient ancestor of nomads entering the subcontinent through a narrow pass. So which means the father is thinking about his future and past and thinking unusual thing. So this is the way of life the common man live in the society, and which is a very interesting poem which is written by Dilip Chitri. So thanks for listening me.